Dr. Amal Al-Jodar, she is the first keynote speaker. She will have a half an hour to present their thoughts and their presentations.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Can you see it?
Yes. More
Okay.
than welcome, Dr. Amal. Professor Mike, Dr. Amal, it's a consultant with the UNIDO since a long time ago. She is international consultant. She is international speakers, and it's more than welcome to joining us with their experiences. Go ahead, Dr. Amal.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hanadi, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, usually this time I get ready to sleep. For me, though it is only 8 p.m., but I am, the morning personality. 4 a.m. I am up, so I need to have full 8 hour. But anyhow, today I am a little bit late, so it's okay. So what I'm talking to, because I am family physician in origin, and I am also certified positive psychology practitioner. So I'm talking about mental health. So talking about little bit introduction, then some statistic and definition of mental health, component of mental health and what is important, and then summary for the whole talk. An entrepreneur is a human being. He's not a productive machine. Therefore, he or she has a body, has a mind, heart, soul, and each with its own need to be fulfilled. And human beings are emotional by default. So we affect by our emotion. We think we are thinking, but we are emotional more than thinker. So simply being an entrepreneur, that you are at risk for some serious problem with psychological and top of list. The more time entrepreneur spend on his job, the greater chance to being diagnosed with heart disease. This according to Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine. Also, and because we live today in a dynamic world where nothing is certain, constant political, economic, environmental, and health change arise and emerge. Therefore, we need more than ever mental health that can withstand with these changes and challenges and to be more resilient. A recent study by University of San Francisco has shown that startup founders are twice as likely to suffer from depression, 6 times more likely to suffer from attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, 10 times more likely to suffer from bipolar disorder, depression, and euphoria, twice as likely to have psychiatric hospitalization. So this shows how much entrepreneur and startup business, because they have to face all the things, they have to think about their project and their business maybe 24 hours a day. Even if they sleep, they dream about it. If you have a job, then okay, we'll start at a certain time and we'll end at certain time, then it is okay. But with your own business, it has different story. So definition of mental health. Mental health, according to World Health Organization, it is a state of mental well-being that enable people to cope with the stress of life, realize their abilities, learn well and work well, and contribute to their community. So therefore, in order to be fit in mental health, you need to cope with the stress, you need to realize your abilities, you need to work and study well, and then you need to contribute with your communities. as a social responsibility. So let us talk about coping with stress first. So investing on conscious effort to solve a personal and interpersonal problem to master and minimize or tolerate stress and conflict. So in order to cope with the stress, you need to let your mind work and to solve this problem and to tolerate stress and conflict. So definition of stress, everyone has demand and we have resources. What I meant by resources is internal resources, how much you are patient, how much you are flexible, how much you are confident, how much whatever you have about your inner resources. What about your thought? Are you optimistic? Are you negative thinker or positive thinker? So on. And demand, okay, you will start your business. There's a lot of demand. You have to do it. You have to write business plan. You have to get CR. You have to make financial. You have to find somebody, investor maybe to believe you. You need to have marketing plan. So there's a lot of demand in order to start your business. And there's resources. If both are equal, then it is okay. It's fine. It will be, this is positive stress. It will be challenging. You will reach your objective, your goals, because both the demand and the resources are equal. But if your demand more than your resource, demand is heavier than your resources, then you will get stress. If your resources even more than or heavier than your demand, you feel even frustrated. And also, I said about resources, internal resources, also their external resources. External resources, how much time you have, how much support from social, friend, family, your team who's working with you, how much money you have. So these kind of external resources. So stress is a relational concept that reflects an imbalance between environmental demand and individual social resources to cope with these demand. So now how to cope? How you can cope with the stress? First of all, you need to keep a stress journal. What causes your stress? Make a guess if you are unsure, and then see whether what you guess, is it true or not? How you felt, both physically and emotionally. When you felt this stress, okay, what do you feel? Do you feel body ache? Do you feel headache? Do you feel shoulder? Did you feel frightened? Do you feel anger? Did you feel fear? So what was your emotion? And how you act in response to this stress. What you did to make yourself feel better. By keeping this stress journal, then you will know, you will be aware of yourself. And because, stress isn't even from like old man when he has to fight with the animal, with the lion or with this for his food. And he will either fight or flight. But now we don't have tiger or lion, but we have deadline, we have traffic, we have things which can cause us to be stressful. So how to do also, this is first of all, you kept stress journal. Second thing, you can practice 4A. First A, which means avoid it. If something worry you and stress you, but you can avoid it, just simply avoid it. Is it you can alter it? Can you do something about it? Can you change, do any alteration for this, what it is worrying you? Then okay, do it. The third A, okay, can you adapt it? Can you find a way or another to adapt on this way? Okay, if this again you cannot, then you don't have other choice than accept it. So what even stress you, if you can avoid it, avoid it. If you can alter it, you can alter. If even you can change the perspective and you give the new meaning. For example, if you're in traffic and someone want to crash you, oh, he want to kill me, then think, oh, maybe he have sick patient, maybe he's in hurry, his boss tell him if you didn't come on time, you will be fired. So give him, reframe the think, what you think about it. And if you cannot avoid it or alter it or adapt it, and then you accept it, because if it is out of your control. The third thing you can do, let it go. I mean, don't be like you want to be like perfectionism. You just let it go. Just don't let him to stand and be with you. Just ignore it and let it go. And by the time it will go. And the fourth thing, which is very, very important, it's manage your lifestyle. Fulfill your body, eat well, eat balanced food, meditate, pray, have your good connection and relation and support. As you know, this Harvard study about this, which started from mid-70s, the most important thing, it was the social impact and social relationship. And there's some quick way to reduce stress. You can breathe, you can listen to music, you can take a quick walk, you can stretch, you can squeeze a stress ball, and you can find your way also, because there's no universal way or one fit all sides. You have to find your way and explore all these things till you find what is good for you. And remember, you are always having a freedom of choice. Maybe we cannot choose what will happen to us. What is meant for us, it will happen, whether we want it or not. But we can choose our reaction, our response to what's happening to us, even if we like it or we don't like it. So even if we cannot change the what happened, especially if it is out of our control, then we have the choice to choose what response we want to this. So we finished the first component of mental health, which is coping with the stress. Second component, which is realize their abilities. So you have to have self-efficacy, which is your perception of your own ability. If I am starting a new business and I am confident that I will be able to do all the demand, then it is okay, I will do it. But if I am underestimating myself, then of course I will be stressful. And also don't also overestimate yourself. Try to bet yourself and objectively. You know, you are okay, you are good in finance or accounting, but you are very poor in marketing, or the opposite. So know where your weakness, where your strength, so you can focus on your strength and find solution. I found somebody who compensate you in your weakness. Self-efficacy is one of the major components in healthy self-esteem. It is the immunity when you have self-efficacy. You can say no at the right time. You can. It is the immune system for your mental health, like white blood cell or lymphatic. It's immune for your physical health. Self-esteem is the immune system for your mental health. Because with self-esteem, high self-esteem, you can say no at the right place and the right time. So how to boost your self-esteem? If you think, first of all, you have to get out of your comfort zone. Many people, especially they used to where they are happy where they are, doing the same thing, meeting the same people, doing the whole thing, continue the same. In this case, you will never grow up. So try to get out from your comfort zone, and naturally you will find fear zone, because something it is unknown for you, and it is normal to be afraid from unknown. And even if we think about COVID, we were all afraid of what to do, how to cope, where to go, how to work online, how to study online, and this. But later on, we go, because after the fear zone is the learning zone. So in this learning zone, you will learn, and then you will practice whatever you know, and you will grow up. It will be growth zone. But again, after a time, this growth zone will be your new comfort zone. And you have to start again also to try new skills, try new information, try new experience, so you can grow and evolve like forever. Be aware of your self-talk. Unfortunately, by default, we are a negative thinker, because this is to keep our self-survival. This is to keep, because if we think everything it's okay and fine and positive, then we will not be careful, we will not protect ourselves. So be aware of your self-talk. When you find yourself talking negatively, just think about it. Is it logic? Is it I am exaggerated? Can I reframe it? Can be another, what is the fact I have? Is it I am using, it should, it could, why it not, it should? So is it like a fixed idea? So we have to see our perception and work of it. Is it white or black? Is it like we are exaggerating, we are generalizing, so we have to find out what is our thinking and try to see this negative and try to make it in a positive way. Then avoid to label yourself and make yourself behavior is different than your identity. You are a teacher, or you are working as a teacher. So see the difference between these. So when you have this liability, then you will see you differentiate between behavior and yourself. Then you have to identify your core belief. What do you believe in? What is your ethnicity, integrity, whatever, creativity? So you have to find your value. And of course, you have to choose a hobby or interest, so you can take time and break time and renew your life. And develop an optimistic attitude. And also I want to emphasize, optimistic attitude or positive attitude doesn't mean that the life is, it is pink and everything is smooth and there's no obstacle. No, it is not seeing just half the every classic example. You see the half full or the half empty. No, you should see the whole cup. There is empty and there is the full. So you see, there's a tunnel. There's obstacle you have to overcome, but you can see at the end of this tunnel, there's a light, there's a hope. So you go and find this way and overcome. And accept compliment gracefully. Think other and accept when they compliment you. Don't feel shy or you don't deserve it. Create support system of a friend and family. And then the third one, learn and work productively. Efficiency is about how effective this person convert input into useful output. And it doesn't mean it is like a dance between effort and outcome. It doesn't mean you have to work harder. You have to work smarter. And as you are now talking about the artificial intelligence and how can help in working and improvement. So, okay, use whatever tools you can use it to be more productive. So it is learning about working hard, smarter, knowing all the tools which can help you in your business, identify your priorities, which is the first, second, so you can do it, focus in what you want to reach in your goals, and contribute to your community. It could be by your time, by your effort, by your money, by your knowledge, whatever. Then the importance of mental health. Mental health is a basic human right. It is crucial to personal and community and socio-economic development. We cannot develop, we cannot improve, we cannot without mental health. It is an integral component of health and well-being that and collective abilities to make a decision, build relationship, and shape our future. Important. Good mental health also leads to wise decision making. If you are upset, if you are depressed, you cannot take a right decision or a wise decision. It even make you more moral because you will have like a positive energy. You are ready to do, so you are not down, looking down to yourself. And of course, when you have mental health, you become more productive, and more productive mean more profit, and you will have better relationship with others. And also would reflect in the whole organization, and you will have positive organization. So to summarize the things, entrepreneurs are a human being, which means they have body, mind, heart, and soul. Simply being an entrepreneur raises the risk of some serious health problem. Mental health, as defined by World Health Organization, is a state of well-being that enable people to cope with stress, realize their abilities, learn and work well, and contribute to their community. Also, coping with stress by applying 4A, avoid, alter, adapt, and accept. In addition to that, let it go and manage your lifestyle. To boost your self-esteem, get out of your comfort zone, be aware of your self-talk, turn negative statement to positive, learn and work smarter, not harder, identify your priorities and focus, contribute to your community through your time and effort, and mental health crucial to personal and community and socio-economic development. And let me give you this wisdom of happiness. If you want happiness for an hour, what do you think you should do? Happiness for 1 hour only. What do you think you can do? Take a nap. Okay, if you want it for a day, what you can do? Go to picnic. If you want it for a week, go on vacation. If you want it for a month, get married. If you want it for a year, inherit wealth. But if you want it for a lifetime, learn to love what you do for your living. Also, I am sure, like I'm not expert in artificial intelligence, but I am quite sure that artificial intelligence can help in mental health. I think can analyze like feeling by like following like a comment and social account and seeing what these people writing. They can analyze maybe the risk also of having this thing, but I should learn about artificial intelligence and relation to mental health, but I'm sure it can help some way or another. And by the way, today only my Instagram was hacked. Today only, this morning, they hacked my Instagram. Anyhow, I am welcoming any question and comment. I tried to finish earlier so I can listen to you and we can discuss the topic.
If I could add something, Dr. Alma, I think this was wonderful because entrepreneurs, when they're starting their business, all the things they have to get done, they don't think about their own mental health and their own conditions. Nor do they, I think, realize how many hours they're going to have to work when they first get started. The thing with an entrepreneur is that there's always something more you can do. So, well, I'm doing everything I can, the entrepreneur says, but how about this and how about that? And suddenly you're working, 10, 12, 15 hours a day trying to get your business to be successful. Now, that brings on a lot of stress.
Yeah,
and I think with anybody in business, the stress is mostly brought about by uncertainty. You really don't know what's going to happen.
absolutely.
Entrepreneur, I think, has even more uncertainty because you're not even sure whether you're going to make it.
Exactly.
So with all that, I think you're right on that they have to take care of their mental health, physical health, and mental health too. So you should be able to get some exercise. You should eat
Absolutely.
properly, and also your mental health. You need to make sure that's in line. Sometimes I tell some of the entrepreneurs that I work with, I say, look, sometimes you just have to step away and just forget about it. Even if it's only for a couple of hours, just step away from it. Think about something else. When you come back,
It will bob on him. Yes.
yeah, you'll be fresher and you'll be able to tackle some problems better. There's a couple things in there that really caught my eye. I've always said to people, look, you can't do anything about the events that happen. I mean, just things happen, you can't do anything about them. But as you said, you can do something about the way it affects you.
Yeah.
So even if something is what you believe is disastrous, you can't look at it like that. You just look at it like it's a problem. I'll get through it. I have a good educational background. I know a lot about my business. So whatever comes out, I'll work it out and I'll come up with the best solution that I can. And if it turns out you made the right choice, great. If it turns out you made the wrong choice, and entrepreneurs are going to make a lot of wrong choices.
Absolutely.
I tell them each of those wrong choices have to be turned into a learning experience. What is it that led you to the wrong conclusion? Think about it, make it a learning experience, and it'll make things easier. A couple other things you said I thought were very important. Try to turn a negative into a positive. So if something bad happens, well, how can I make this so it's not so bad? And maybe it's even something that's positive.
What can I learn from it?
Exactly. You can learn from it. Entrepreneurs have to be very creative because things aren't going to happen exactly the way that you plan. Look, I made this big business plan. As soon as I got started, things are different than what I thought they were going to be. And there's some things that happen I just never expected. So there's those negatives. Try to turn them, as you mentioned, into a learning experience and turn them into something positive. And the last thing you said, which caught my eye, you have to maintain an optimistic attitude. So no matter how bad things look or how they're getting, I think they're getting down, I didn't reach my goal, I wanted to do this, you have to be optimistic. I didn't get quite where I wanted to get last time. Here's some things I'm going to change, and I'm going to look to the future to do things positively. So I think your whole paper was really spot on with what entrepreneurs have to feel and the way that they have to look at things. Very good.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any comments?
Yes, please.
If I might, thank you
Sure.
for the presentation, and thank you also for that question. I just wanted to comment. One of the things that I tell entrepreneurs that are in an unhappy state or depressed because of these experiences that didn't go according to their plan is that as you've said it, but I used to have a Chinese fortune cookie. The fortune was on my refrigerator, and it said a quote by a famous silent film star named Mary Pickford from Canada. And it said, this thing about failure, it's not about falling down, it's about staying down. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that entrepreneurs sometimes resist, and to their detriment. It's all about how do I manage my cycle times, right? Whether it's in my services and product delivery and quality or whatever, it's about how soon do I learn as the leader, as a founder, co-founder of this startup, how do I learn faster and change my direction appropriately? And the answer is even the next decision might not get everything you hoped it would, but it's a continuous loop of learning and innovation.
Absolutely. It is, and always try to reframe whatever happened to you, just give it a new frame. And the things, once you give a different meaning, it will change your feeling.
I agree. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Okay, very, very well presented, some great points, and it stimulated discussion. I always like to stimulate discussion with some of these things. You end up adding to the value of the paper and to the learning experience of everyone else.
Maybe I don't know anyone, like, because you are expert in artificial intelligence. What do you think about artificial intelligence and mental health? I mean, we can
Yeah.
apply any application of artificial intelligence
Yeah,
for
so
mental health?
I'm not an expert in this area. I can see the positives and I can also see the negatives. You know, it's like with how people use their cell phones. Well, it's very positive that we can communicate with virtually anybody in the world relatively easy. It's a negative because people are just communicating on their cell phones and they're not speaking to other people. So they're not real personal communication. So I think with everything, my mother always used to say to me, you have to take the good with the bad. So there's going to be some good that has to be done, and we have to look at some of the negative aspects and try to minimize the negative impacts of some of those things. We're all learning here. The more information that is presented in conferences like this, the more people will get to know what they should do, and then maybe they can implement it and make their life a lot easier.
That's good.
All right. I'm just about on time, I think, for the next paper. Patrick made a comment here, and now that you're commenting, Patrick, we're going to let you lead that into your paper. You're Director of Entrepreneurial Development. Is that Collab Pensacola?
That's correct.
Okay.
Collab Pensacola.
Oh, Collaborate Pensacola. I got it. Okay. Patrick, fire when ready.
Okay, thank you all for being here today. And thank you, Dr. Hanade, for once again inviting me to this great forum with some very creative individuals and participants, both as speakers, panelists, and attendees. So today, what I thought I'd follow up on is something I'd maybe touched upon in another one of the annual events. Our local organization here has been around, as you can see, for almost 17 years. And this is a venture that was begun to do exactly what this conference's title speaks to, which is economic growth and development from technology and innovation and entrepreneurship. In traditional economic development activities in this area, what we found is people were traveling, they were recruiting large businesses to relocate or add a branch or a factory here from another place. We've attracted industries from all over the planet to the area and continue to do that. But it was thought that we should also spend time and energy and invest in growing our own entrepreneurial ventures. Now, I'm going to date myself, but my first startup was 1996. And so as a part of now this is before the internet bubble, right? The dot-com bust bubble back in 1999. They wanted to grow the technology sector, so they invited several entrepreneurs who had technology companies to join a committee to just learn more about who was here, what industries were representative, what were they about, and to engage them to help develop strategies to attract and grow and retain other technology firms. So I was willingly a participant to help grow that sector along with my fellow entrepreneurs. That led to a report. The report was gathering dust, so the entrepreneurs and I decided to start a nonprofit called IT Gulf Coast. And the purpose of that group was to basically host lunch and learns. And those lunch and learns were tech talks for a small lunch fee to cover the costs. That grew into an annual event. And that Dr. Crowder was speaking to mental health and AI. One of my clients here in CoLab, one of the startups, is a company called Well in 5, and they are a mental health and wellness technology startup. They actually started in Canada. They went to Silicon Valley, and then they moved to San Diego, and they decided they would like to move to a little bit more business-friendly area. And so they focused on looking into places in Florida, and they were going to move to the Tampa, Florida area, and decided this was a very pretty area. It was not as busy or crowded, and they ended up here. So his technology experience has been very interesting with AI, because not every AI is the best suited for the applications and the use cases that he's trying to deliver on. It's also another, and he presented this at our annual tech conference in October. It's also true in his experience that if you all have read about the large language learning models, the machine learning and AI, the humans are still in the loop in training the machine. And unfortunately, it's just the nature of humans that they bring to that training process their own filters, if you will, their own biases. And so you have to be very savvy in terms of developing applications with AI and these large language models, because of the potential for humans being in the loop, and they might create some outcomes not anticipated. Again, not failures, but learning opportunities to grow and expand how we do the assimilation and aggregation of large databases. All right, so that's that. A little bit about what we did here. We've been looking for some leadership in Ed Morrison's program of strategic doing. Recently, one of the several people that I gifted his book Strategic Doing to over the last several years, one of them went up to North Alabama and they received certification as a facilitator. So they came back and they decided that we would work under the Chamber's organization on their innovation and entrepreneurship committee. We would try to utilize strategic doing methodologies to have a discussion group, just a core group, a few people, I mean, maybe 3 or 4 initially, in terms of, well, what could we do? What should we do? And what will we do? And so we sorted through some ideas in the process with her facilitation and guidance. And that's what this little presentation is about. How to actually take from the grounds up the strategic doing method for the entrepreneurial communities. I thought maybe you'd find this informative. So we started a group, a new brand called Startup Source Pensacola. There is no identifiable leader. It is a true collaboration of multiple entities. It was hosted by the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce with several other organizations, including my own here at CoLab, including the Kukua Institute, which is a nonprofit that does mentoring globally, especially for founders of color, using the running lean methodology and the lean stack technology platform. I spoke about that last year's event. So what we were trying to do is support and empower our local entrepreneurs by improving accessibility and awareness of the resources and to try to get them into networking events. For example, last night we had our second Startup Source Pensacola social hour, and it was very well attended. So our first event was something we call the Resource Expo. There is kind of, I would call it an urban blighted area of the west side of Pensacola. A lot of older businesses, some closed, some of the buildings not in good shape, and some new renewal, some new businesses. So it's a mixture of the old and the new, as this area has seen great growth during COVID and following years. So we brought over 120 people to the room at this Brownsville Community Center, and we brought over 20 entrepreneur support organizations. It was very well received, and really both the attendees and the support organizations felt like it was a great success. We hoped we might get to half of that number of attendees, to be honest. So that was important to make the connections. Part of the community building that is core part of strategic doing is lacking. I don't know about your communities globally, but it seems to us that post-COVID, that it seems to be very difficult to get people to come out and actually participate, except in a virtual platform such as Zoom or one of the many others. So we're trying to reconnect the people in the community in order to build relationships and to bring more value from those relationships in meaningful ways. So goals, we wanted to bridge the resource gaps and connect them with the mentors, the funding options, and other resource providers. We wanted to reinvigorate collaboration in person through the event. So we're well represented with our university here, the University of West Florida, with Pensacola State College, also that school, and the variety of other support groups and economic development groups. The other thing is trying to promote sustainability in the ecosystem is a big challenge. I think that's common to multiple ecosystems. Sometimes different providers are very defensive because of the limited funding resources and the apparent overlap of services being provided. And that's a challenge which is acknowledged in the strategic doing methodologies and how you manage those relationships in an ongoing basis. So we saw a true spirit of working together there. Some of the people that maybe weren't so collaborative did not choose to attend. The framework of strategic doing is very action oriented. We set forth a list, I'll show you on the next page, of possible things to do, and settle on this one as the lowest risk with highest touch points into the community of entrepreneurs and service organizations. We really wanted to engage more people in terms of learning what they do as support organizations to work together more effectively, and then to set some measurability goals in terms of what were the outcomes, and then how does that feed us in terms of our next decision, in terms of, well, what are we going to do next? Do you have this deck up, Dr. Hernati? I thought I'd send it to you to present from. I guess that's not up. So pardon me while I look and see if I need to do that here. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that was being shared elsewise. I apologize.
There you go.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood. But anyway, so now that we have this deck up, let's take a look at it. These are the points I just discussed. So if you don't mind, then we'll go over to this next page and we'll see what we have over there. So now if I can just get this slideshow to work for me. There we go. All right, good. So the next page then is kind of the overview of the nitty gritty. And it was the facilitator was Carolyn Fries. She's also a serial entrepreneur, an alum of our collab operation. She is a mechanical engineer who, with her husband, who is a research scientist here, had built a company using advanced 3D printing technologies that they have patented. And so she's very familiar with the entrepreneurial ecosystem and the potential for collaboration and its value, and also just spent the time to get trained. So these were the ideas we had. We thought, how about a panel where we'd have some entrepreneurs talk to a group? And then we thought about this resource fair. And then we thought about a clearinghouse of some sort, a website that needed to be built. And then we thought about what's called a founder speed dating event, where we'd get multiple entrepreneurs who are looking for co-founders together in a room. And then finally, we thought we'd provide a menu of training for entrepreneurial topics. And we went through each one of these carefully with, what could we deliver in terms of a quality experience, timely, and to meet our very limited resources. And that's why we picked the resource fair. The community center was donated by the county government. The support organizations were volunteering their staff and their materials. So basically, it's a very low cost, no cost event for us with great success. So that's the word here is just simply, we came up with an idea, we put it together rather quickly. These other ideas on this deck, they're actually on the 4th floor of the building I'm in, which is not our property, but it's a part of the chamber. And it's on the wall for the group to reconvene in order to go through a redo of this list and then a resetting of the priorities for the next event or whatever we choose to do. Any questions or comments so far from the folks here on Zoom? I don't see any hands raised. Okay, super. Then I will keep going. Okay, so here's the makeup of the group that put this event on using strategic doing. Obviously, Collab Pensacola. There is a nonprofit in town that's another key partner in the entrepreneurial support role at the Studer Community Institute. And then we also have a chapter of the Kauffman Foundation's 1 Million Cups program here. And also the University of West Florida and several other business development groups, including the Workforce Development Agency. And so we had quite a cross-section of partners to come and share with the entrepreneurs. We felt like it was a good diversity of people to meet entrepreneurs and make them aware of things that they just were not aware of. Even with the internet and Google, we regularly hear from entrepreneurs, we didn't know that 1 Million Cups was in Pensacola. In the case of Studer Community Institute, they offer mentorship through the Venture Mentor Service program from MIT in Boston, Massachusetts. That's a great program. It's multiple mentors meeting with entrepreneurs to assist them in their growth and their development. So that is a unique asset here in this ecosystem there aren't that many cities in the country that actually have a trained group of people that run that mentor program based upon MITs. We also have another program here in the area called SCORE, which used to be a group of retired executives. Now they no longer have those words, just SCORE, North Florida. We have one of the most active regions in the entire US here in North Florida. And we find great value with their training webinars and also their in-person events. We also, of course, have the university's Small Business Development Center. They also offer quite a few webinars and in-person small fee based events for training entrepreneurs and how to start a business, how to do social media marketing, tax planning, just a whole variety of skills and areas that some entrepreneurs are not well educated or experienced in. So again, the highlights really are that this was an effort of the Innovation Entrepreneurship Committee of the Chamber of Commerce here, which, because they've been very active in a long-standing entrepreneurial ecosystem group that we facilitated since 2015, they've taken on this committee to try to bring in even more attendance and awareness. They have a very powerful marketing engine. Our organization really has not had that resource or capacity is not like they do, because they have 1,000 or 2,000 members that they can command eyeballs to their marketing lists and their website and social media and their other event calendars. As far as funding, we are very involved with some local investor networks. There's a venture capital fund here in this region, along with a few angel investor groups also. This was a way for some entrepreneurs seeking funding to become more aware of what options exist regionally that might be good for their funding needs to build their products and launch them. As far as event series, we're really working to try to create more events. You saw my the little handwritten note list of possible projects for us to pursue. We're looking to try to reconvene our planning committee soon. This season here, and apparently even in the world, is full of events. Fall seems to be just full of events. And so we're kind of waiting till the events die down, because most of these groups and the volunteers are very involved. We have an event this week starting tonight called EntreCon. EntreCon is an entrepreneurship conference that runs for 3 days every fall. That October event that I mentioned is called I-10 Wired, and that is referred to as innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, and networking. And it hosts a variety of topical speakers and presenters, along with keynote speakers of note. So we are really full up with the major annual events here. And I just think it's lovely that I can attend by Zoom a global event like this one and listen to all the good people and see my friend Dr. Hanadi, who I met through INBIA many years ago in one of their virtual events globally. Okay, so the impact and longer term vision of this effort that we're trying to do is, how do we build a resilient, self-sustaining ecosystem? Number one really is by building awareness, building a sense of community by person to person meeting, by also learning together, and then building together entrepreneurial innovative ventures. We are trying to advance the economy here locally by creating jobs and hopefully higher wage jobs. Florida, as you all know, is thought of a lot as a tourist destination from all over the world. We are not Disney. They are 6 hours or 8 hours east of here. We're at the very western edge of Florida. And I always say that to people because we're in Central Time, not Eastern. We're in the part of Florida that one of our former governors forgot to put on the state map. I thought it was interesting. It stopped at the time zone. So I just refer to that part of Florida as East Florida. It's a great part of Florida. Don't get me wrong. This part of Florida has mostly been the timber industry, forestry products, and chemical plants. We do have military presence here quite a bit with different bases and different agencies. But it has been a great area to grow up in from New York by way of San Diego. I grew up here. I left for years, but came back, lived in large cities, Chicago, Omaha, Nebraska, Jacksonville, Tokyo. So I've really been around the world, and this is a nice community, but it has grown significantly. And we do have quite a few hub organizations in innovation that are really contributing to that growth. We're just trying to hope to connect the engineering talent, the research people with entrepreneurs and the skills they need. Finally, we're looking at tracking metrics because I think that's very important. In the strategic doing language, it would be what's your 30-30. So that's instilling this notion of accountability. And I would add visibility into what the collaborative efforts are doing in alignment with their goals and their mission purposes. And then finally, I'd like to say thank you and open it up for questions and just say it's been a pleasure. Anything I can answer or further discussion topics, please let me know.
Does anybody have any questions for Patrick? Let me just say a couple things I noticed, Patrick. entrepreneurs really need mentoring. They're usually good at the product or they're making or the service that they're offering, but when it comes to business skills, oftentimes they come up a little bit short. Also, when they run into some problems, they think this is the first time an entrepreneur has ever run into a problem like this. How am I ever going to get any help? You mentioned SCORE. That was the organization of retired entrepreneurs at one time, right?
Yes.
So yeah, what I found with them is successful entrepreneurs who may have retired, they're very willing, maybe even a little bit anxious to try to help other entrepreneurs succeed. And when an entrepreneur says, I run into a problem, no one's ever seen this before, somebody who's seasoned is going to say, this happens to entrepreneurs. It happened to me when I was in business. Here's how hot I handled it. So getting that kind of information to entrepreneurs, I think, will vastly increase their probability of success. I've also found usually after about the second year, things start out well, and then you sort of hit a few snags. And I see entrepreneurs, the ones that I've talked to, I see them starting to question themselves after probably about the second or third year, and it's kind of a little rut that they have to get through. And once they do, then they're usually on to success. So having resources to help those younger entrepreneurs get through those problems, I think is an invaluable resource really to all of them. What you're doing here, I think, is wonderful. It's going to help entrepreneurs in the Florida region where you are. And, I always, when I teach entrepreneurship, I always tell everybody, think big, not just you're doing something here, but how big can you make this? Some of them have a little trouble seeing that, particularly early on. But again, these people from SCORE can help them, and it turns out to be very, very valuable.
I fully agree. We were blessed that a new gentleman took over the state level operation of the small business development centers. His predecessors, their policy was really to focus on growth stage companies. And so they did not really have a heart, passion, or focus on the ideation phase and the very early stage of a startup. The new director, actually, funny story, he ran a machining company in an area just about an hour east of here that is really quite dense industrial, but primarily in support of the Air Force operations, because they have a large budget for research and development. While Pensacola is a Navy organization largely here, they're a training operation. So they manage curriculum development, web-based training, things like that, and career path planning and support. But they don't really do research here. The Air Force has a huge research operation over there, and therefore more budget. And then they need the entrepreneurial community. So he ran that. So he's an entrepreneur. I don't think he was an owner, but it's very much supporting research engineering, which means everything's new every day, right? And so he grew out of that world. And when he took the state level SBDC job, he left a nonprofit that was the Regional Manufacturing Council. So he really does understand the entrepreneurship side, primarily from the whole tangible making of things. And what I told people, because I had a lot of manufacturing experience myself in finance, is that making software, it's the same, it's just a factory. Okay, it really is a factory. There's different departments, they do different parts, that then you have to put them all together, and they have to do something, and they have to do something that people will pay for, that's valuable to them, and you have to be able to deliver that at a cost that allows you some margin, right, to pay the bills. Absolutely. And so I just like to tell people that, look, manufacturing is great. It's a great opportunity for people, for jobs and wealth. But we also have this technology revolution. And now, as you know, in America, at least, it's kind of coming full circle with, well, maybe not everybody needs a 4-year degree. Maybe we need more folks with technical skills that can go back into the reshoring of manufacturing industries to our communities around the U.S. So we'll see how that works. Cycles come and cycles go. I just, Michael, you seem to know quite a bit, and I know I've seen you in these calls over the years, and maybe on the NBIA calls. Remind me, where are you? I don't have the app up. Where is your home base?
I'm at Stockton University. It's in New Jersey, just outside of Atlantic City and Galloway, although we have an Atlantic City campus now too. So it's a greater South Jersey shore area.
My wife's from South Jersey, Wall Township, Seagirt, that area.
A Jersey girl.
Yes, and yes, and a mixed heritage from Europe, Italians, Polish, Czech, Russian.
Perfect.
Yeah, she married me. Keeps me on mine. Well, thank you, Michael. Any other questions, comments?
Well, one last thing I was going to say, are they making something or some offering a service too?
I'm sorry, say again, the sound broke up a second.
Yeah. So are they mostly in producing product, or do you have some that offer a service as well?
Well, you mean our clientele, our tenants in the program?
Yeah.
So we've had a variety of folks in the program over the years. Some of them are making tangible things, or sometimes integrating tangible physical property into products. For example, our facilitator, Carolyn Free's company, it was called Guided Particle Systems. So they were producing and manufacturing goods with the 3D printing. They actually turned that into a semiconductor fabrication training tool through an articulated robotic arm to train community college students back to the 2-year programs as we reshore the semiconductor industry production here in the U.S. So then also we have some people that are building robotics in the building. They're using the robotics dog and some AI, and they're also building a new onboard chip technologies. The lead engineer and CEO is from Qualcomm. So they do a lot of embedded software development in circuit cards and chipsets and the technologies that like that. So, but then a lot of them are service people that, they're developing software or delivering business services, or we have a lot of cybersecurity services in this area too.
Excellent. Very good. I'm interested in the next person is going to come on in a couple minutes. I think I have 2 minutes left. I was interested when you said in the area of robotics, because I think in the next, 6, 8, 10 years, there's going to be a big push to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. And I think if we do that, the reason it left the U.S. in the first place was that labor's wage rate is so much lower in some of these countries than it is in the U.S. So if we're going to bring this back, it'll come back as capital intensive rather than labor intensive operations, which means you're going to have a lot of robots and automation and artificial intelligence in the manufacturing process. So I was very interested when you said the robotics part.
Right. And there's actually a prospective tenant who worked for a research institute here. And they competed in a global DARPA competition and took second place with the Research Institute a few years ago. He's been in 2 different startups. He's looking to raise funds now. One of his key target areas is robotics assisted humanoid manufacturing. He's looking at the shipbuilding industry.
Excellent. Very
welding,
good.
Welding applications. I thought that was fascinating. So there you go.
Very good.
Thank you all again.
Thank you so much, Patrick. That was very informative, and I have a feeling I'll see you back here next year with something else you're doing very good.
Right, and I'll be trying to jump into the webinars and the speakers today.
Excellent.
Tomorrow and Thursday, it's pretty much 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. in that other event, but I'll pick and choose and jump out of some of those and jump back in here, okay?
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you all again. And Dr. Arnade, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you. You are strategic partner to our conference. See you.